Hello, hello, and welcome to the final session of the summer. It's been a fun-filled week of learning and growing, and we're so happy that you all could join and tune in. I'm Vera Flores, and I work in community and brand advocacy here at Sprout, and I'm thrilled to be moderating this session today with Sarah. We hope you've been able to tune in all week and gather some inspiration. First, before we jump into the content, let's first go over a few housekeeping items. These sessions will be recorded, and you can access them immediately following the presentation on our YouTube page. If you need to step out or head out early, don't worry, you'll be able to access everything after the session. Remember to get social with it. We encourage all of you to engage with us and your fellow professionals on social. Tweet at Sprout Social or use the hashtag #SproutSessions to ask questions, share your favorite bits of content, or just follow along with the conversation. Finally, we'll have a Q&A at the end of this presentation, so feel free to ask questions throughout the session by using the chat box to the right of the screen. Now let's get this session started. Allow me to pass it over to Sprout All-Star Elite and owner of SR Social Media Management, Sarah Romero, to introduce themselves.
Hi, thanks so much, Vera, for the introduction, and thank you so much to everybody else who is joining us on this particular session. I'm super excited to talk about what we're going to be talking about for the next 20-30 minutes, just because whenever I get an opportunity to geek out on social media and the application of social media to business, I am completely in heaven, especially when it's with other people who have the same interest. So just a little bit about myself. I grew up in the Coachella Valley. If you've been to Coachella Fest or heard about Coachella Fest, that's where I am. I've traveled around. I have an educational background in communication and a bit of experience in marketing, but I also have worked in the hospitality industry, food and beverage. I've worked in construction management. I've worked in radio. So it's kind of the full gamut. It all links up somehow. And if you're interested in how that worked, feel free to tweet me after this session. But it's really nice to be able to apply all of that experience to my team's management of social media accounts for various businesses. Like Vera had said, my company is SR Social Media Management, Inc., and we're based in Southern California. We do have a lot of clients that are in Southern California, but we also have a client in the Midwest, and so it's really nice to be able to serve people in different markets, different businesses, with different target audiences. Our portfolio actually includes clients in the food and beverage industry. That's actually how I started, as well as the hospitality industry, health and wellness, medical, legal. We have a landscaper, that we actually manage social media accounts for. So kind of runs the whole gamut, and it keeps things interesting. So that's kind of just the quick lowdown on who I am and what my agency does. As I mentioned, I mean, we manage social media accounts for businesses. And so we work with on some of them, but we also work with agencies, which can be exciting because as much as I love social, it's actually only a piece of the bigger marketing pie to get to the goals, the business goals that our clients are trying to achieve. And so when we work with agencies, it gets really interesting because we get to be a part of not only social media, but radio, television, print, and event planning. So you name it, we kind of get a taste of it. So that being said, the information that I'm going to be sharing today is going to focus a lot actually on live broadcasting features, because that's what's big in social media right now. And so we're going to be talking about live broadcasting features on most of the popular platforms. I'll go into why you should be incorporating live broadcasting into your social media marketing strategy at the end, in case you're not already convinced, which I don't know about you, but live broadcasting that's happening from really big brands, it's kind of hard to miss and hard to want to get involved with. But for now, we'll just go ahead and dive right into the nuts and bolts of these live broadcasting features, because that's the fun, get your hands in it part once you've made the decision to do it, which I highly encourage. Just a side note too, because identifying which of these popular channels you should use for clients or your particular business is a whole nother big animal of its own. I'm not going to go too much into that, but we can touch on it during the Q&A if you want to. So because there are so many new features and changes too that are coming out on platforms all the time, I've incorporated some of the latest that my agency has personally used with clients. I'll go into a couple of anecdotes too, and they're things that we've actually done and had experience with. And so I'm hoping that those anecdotes will help you to kind of give you hints and inspiration on how you can incorporate these features into the social media marketing strategies that you've put together for your clients or your own particular business. So there will be some features that have come out that I may not touch on. But again, if you have questions about those, let's talk about that during the Q&A, because I'd love to answer those questions. So let's just dive right in. The first thing that I wanted to talk about was Facebook Live video. It's been out for a little bit. It's not the newest feature, but there are still a lot of people, including marketers, who aren't really taking advantage of this feature. Sometimes it's because of fear of not being as polished as the client maybe thinks that it should be. But Facebook Live really does give the opportunity to engage with the audience in real time. And because of that, if it doesn't look as polished, the audiences are cool with that. They're fine with it. Mistakes, they kind of just look over, just because it is such a cool experience to be able to interact with a business that now isn't just a corporation, but is actually made up of human beings who are accessible. So it's also great to be able to educate colleagues and customers. I'll talk about that in an anecdote as far as how we've used it in the past. And for entertainment, of course. The big kind of trendy word to use right now is infotainment. So audiences are really looking for storytelling, and as businesses too, we should really be looking to build stronger relationships. Also, what's really great about Facebook Live video is that it's a feature that's available to everybody. Some of the features that I'll be talking about are limited to bigger brands with bigger followings. But what's nice about Facebook Live video is you can do it on your personal account, you can do it on your business account, you can have 10,000 followers, or you can have 2 followers. It's totally available to you. So that is my first team member ever. She's a little hairy, but definitely keeps things interesting, a little bit of a diva, but we still keep her around. And so I just kind of wanted to go into, basically what the steps are when you go and you finally decide, okay, we're going to go ahead and implement Facebook Live for our clients. What are the steps to take in order to get there? So at the very get-go, you definitely want to do social listening and figure out what it is that your target audience is interested in learning more about or hearing more about, and then also create an editorial calendar around that. I definitely say just dive in to using these features, but you definitely want to have a bit of planned chaos, I guess, would be the best way to say it if you're just starting out with it. But you definitely want to have a plan. Some clients, very few, in my experience, have ever said just go for it. So it's good to be able to show the client, who it is that you're targeting, what you're going to be talking about. Obviously, get them to participate and to buy in, and then just go for it. Actual process. The hardware that you need and best practices, really, if you don't have access to a film company, like yesterday, I actually had the opportunity to visit a film company in Los Angeles, and they're doing amazing stuff with Facebook Live. They had 3 different cameras set up, and they also were able to drop in clips interviewing, performances that those interviewees had done. And so it's awesome what they can do. But even the social media marketer that doesn't have access maybe to that kind of equipment can still do it on their own. So really what it takes at bare minimum is your smartphone. I highly recommend investing in an external mic. I personally use a Shure mic that just plugs into my iPhone, and it runs you maybe $100 or $200. I think it's like $150, and so it really does pay for itself, and you get better sound quality. Just remember to turn your phone to airplane mode and set the do not disturb setting on it, just because you definitely don't want those dings and interruptions when you have a really great broadcast going on. As well, you want to make sure to engage. Social's not social if you're not being social. So this is a great opportunity to be able to ask questions to your audience, answer questions coming from your audience, and saying hello. You definitely want to use this time to let the personality of the business shine through. And then of course you want to distribute. So at the end, I highly recommend making sure that you're saving these videos, especially because afterwards you can always repurpose them. You can share them on other social media channels. You can go ahead and incorporate them into larger content pieces in the future, that kind of thing. So definitely save before you post. Afterwards, definitely go back and optimize the live video. So you'll want to add things like title, tags, put in a more robust description, add captions. Also, if it won't get in the way of visuals, because there are a lot of us who, or for me at least, watch these live videos or watch these videos after they've been broadcasted. And I'm in a place where I can't necessarily listen and turn on the audio. So you definitely want to add those captions. Tag personalities and brands in the comments, not the description for best reach. That's kind of just a best practice. And then you can also tag a product or service from those on your page. So basically e-commerce. Then you definitely want to pin it to the top of the feed and make sure it's a featured video on the video page. You want to share it to your online community, share it to Facebook groups that you're a part of, or share it to a Facebook group that you've created. Boost the post, create, if you have the budget for it, definitely get it out there, because more than just what comes through on television commercial advertising, it's videos like these that really resonate with the audience. So these would be great to use as ads if you have the budget, and then repurpose it, like I mentioned, for other social media accounts. So how do you use Facebook Live? Just to give you a couple of examples and hopefully some inspiration. Our particular agency has used it in a couple of ways. One is exclusive access to events. This particular photo was taken during a high-end local fashion show. And there are a lot of people that might not be able to either afford the ticket, or they might not be in the area because they only live here part-time. And so what we were able to do was set up the camera at the end of the runway and do a Facebook Live of the finale show, which was awesome. Because the other thing is too, even if you have purchased a ticket, you might be in a seat that's far away. And so we're actually providing value by giving our viewers on Facebook a bird's eye view, a more VIP point of view of the event, if you will. So that's a nice thing that we could give to our viewers. Also, you can give behind the scenes access or create a fireside chat with an expert, which goes really well, because I definitely recommend creating a calendar where these things are, Facebook Live is done on a regular basis. And if you can get something like a fireside chat going every week with an expert from the business, that's ideal. So moving on to Twitter Live and 360 video. Excuse me. It was reported yesterday that Twitter is now losing users in the US, but it's still good to know about these features because your target audience may be part of this audience here. For me personally, my largest following is on Twitter, and I participate a lot on tweet chats. And so it's kind of nice to have these additional features to be able to create content. So as far as Twitter Live and 360, it's along the same lines. You basically want to provide an immersive experience and provide added value to your audience. You want to provide infotainment as well. And not to mention, aside from just the text tweets, the video, live video and 360 video give you a way to really differentiate your brand from others, since not tons are doing this kind of content. Again, I mean, as far as the process, really it is, doing the social listening, going to places like BuzzSumo, but also answerthepublic.com, Quora. There are a number of different websites that you can go to and do some social listening, see what it is that your audience has questions on. And if you want a list of that, feel free to tweet me after the session too, and I'll be happy to share that with you. During part, actually doing it. So the hardware, really, through Twitter, through Periscope, you can do the live or the 360 live that's accessible to everybody. It used to not be through Periscope, but on Twitter, you can go ahead and use whatever you have. I mean, if you have a smartphone, Twitter's open themselves up so that you can just do the live video through your smartphone. But with Periscope, you will need an Insta360 nano camera. It runs about $200. And then you'll also need an iPhone, since you have to use Periscope iOS, that app, or the Periscope producer if you're using a professional camera. And then obviously you want to engage, you want to distribute, and then afterwards definitely share it and repurpose it into ads if you think it would be of added value to run it all the time. So the ways that we've used Twitter Live and 360 video, we actually have a landscaping client, and we will go ahead and use the Twitter Live to show the progress of projects, as well as DIY tips, and it's a really great way to do some visual storytelling. So this is just one of the photos from video footage that we took of a project that we did. So Instagram stories and Instagram Live. I'm just going to run through this really quickly. Sorry, so there are two features there that you can use. One is stories, and then one is the Instagram Live. Stories provides a multi-dimensional view of your brand, plus with the features that it has, like geotags and tagging of other Instagram users and other brands, it can be really discoverable, and it can be fun because it only lasts 24 hours. So a lot like Snapchat, unlike your curated IG feed, stories allows you the freedom to go ahead and create what it is that you want, and then have the peace of mind to know that it's going to disappear in 24 hours. With Live, it's just like Twitter and Facebook. It gives an opportunity to be engaging, educational, and entertaining to your audience. The process is pretty much the same thing. The only difference is that I would highly recommend, before you actually do stories and just like, when you're posting to Instagram, definitely put together a hashtag strategy. And then other than that, during for the live, engage with your audience, use hashtags, use filters, use geotags because they're searchable just like the photos, use the emojis, and tag people. Because it makes it discoverable. As far as stories, if you're a business account with 10,000 or more followers, definitely use the new feature to swipe up, where you can add a link in order to drive traffic to your website. With the videos, just like with Snapchat videos and photos too, I would highly recommend saving those, because that's something that you can have in your arsenal of content that you might be able to repurpose in the future. And then obviously afterwards, share. So let's see, as far as how we've used it, one of the brands that I've seen that uses it really well is actually Dr. Pimple Popper. I don't know if anyone's familiar with her, but she uses stories in a really amazing way to be able to, promote offers that expire and promotions. So that's really cool. She's able to sell products that way. And then also to give, again, access to exclusive events. Like we have a Mexican restaurant that is very involved with the community. And so to kind of show off how they're philanthropically involved, they were at an American Cancer Society event, and we actually did a live broadcast from the actual event, which, I mean, you had to purchase a ticket to. But again, it gives your audience a way into an event that they might not have access to otherwise. That is me with my Snapchat spectacles. I love these because it provides a unique experience and it sets you apart from others as well. Again, the process is make sure to brainstorm, do some social listening, put together an editorial calendar. As far as the hardware, it used to be that you couldn't get spectacles except at pop-ups, and they were pretty expensive, but now you can actually purchase them online at spectacles.com. They're like $130. And like I said, just, provide a unique experience, which is kind of, you can interpret provide unique experience in any way that you want, because I've seen some people on Snapchat who are landscapers, like Matt LaMarche and Sky Brown, who they do storytelling about mulching. Like, that's a story I saw, excuse me, that's a story that I saw yesterday, where he was talking about the mulching services that they offer. And that might seem boring at first, but in actuality, it's a really cool insight into what it is that his business does. So, and then just like before, save it so that you can repurpose. And this is just a really quick example of how we use Snapchat spectacles with our clients in order to give a more behind the scenes in first person view. So this photo in particular is a screenshot from the bartender. She had on spectacles and she was making one of their famous margaritas. And so we were able to promote, one of the mainstays of their marketing in a really cool, different way. And just to run through the takeaways real fast, if anything, invest in the hardware. It's really not that expensive. You don't have to be, a really big outfit that has expertise in filming in order to get into the live broadcasting. I definitely say just jump in, test it out on your personal accounts. Make sure to measure, see what it is that works. For me personally, like on my personal accounts, I've seen more engagement on Instagram when I do certain things versus Snapchat. Facebook stories, that kind of thing. So just jump in. Remember again to create a calendar to present to a client and schedule a live video broadcast. I highly recommend some podcasts to listen to if you already aren't, which gives some really great insight and inspiration on how else to use these features. Some are like social media marketing, Gary Vee, the social media social hour, social pros, and if you're a lady, all the social ladies. And then follow practitioners and brands. DSW does a really good job. Old Navy does a really good job. And then I didn't list it here, but definitely join tweet chats. Like Sprout Chat, of course, you want to get involved in. But then there's also Chat Snap, which is a tweet chat all about using Snapchat. So hopefully, that's that information will be helpful to you. And I really appreciate everyone attending the Sprout session. And I hope you'll reach out if you have any questions, or want any more of that information that I had mentioned earlier.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's really great to see how live social can give audiences a behind-the-scene look and bring a human aspect to brands who are oftentimes feel a little bit unreachable or inaccessible. So friends, you're welcome to stick around for the next few minutes to ask any questions you might have. And remember, you'll be able to access the recording of this session following the completion of the Q&A. So let's get to our first question. This comes from YouTube, from Members First Federal Credit Union, and they ask, how do you handle negative or inappropriate comments that are made during your live broadcast?
You know what, honestly, because it is live, we might just glean over it if there's a lot of, during the actual broadcast, we might just glean over it if it is a short broadcast and it's really content rich from our end. But otherwise, what we'll do is we'll kind of throw in, obviously this is your opportunity really to show the business's personality as well. And on social, obviously people really resonate with brands who are able to be transparent. And so we may answer, but in a joking way. And then maybe after the broadcast, go ahead and send them a private message and see if there's a reason. If it's a negative comment about services or products, we'll reach out to them and see if we can get more information from them and see if we can't resolve an issue if there is one.
Awesome. That makes total sense. When you're going live, it does create a little bit of a vulnerability factor, but I think that's all a part of the fun of going live. So we have another question from YouTube from
Absolutely.
Maggie, and they ask, how do you determine when to use Facebook Live versus Twitter Live?
I think just like when you decide to recommend one social platform to another, in general, use the same information or use the same process. I mean, like for me, we actually had a client in the medical industry that just recently added another social media account, but they wanted to know which was better, Instagram, Twitter, or Snapchat, right? Because you want to make the most of your time and effort. And so we dug in, and based on the demographic that they wanted to appeal to, we found the best channel or the best platform that really was where that demographic does more of their social media viewing, their consuming. And so that's how we chose to go ahead and add Instagram over the other two. So that's the thing. I mean, these live broadcasts are a feature, the particular social media channel. And so, really the same audiences are going to be seeing it. So if, your marketing strategy revolves around using Facebook because it targets a specific audience that lives on Facebook, then that's what you're going to use. You're going to use Facebook Live.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. So we've gotten a couple questions along the theme of which platform is better for views. So we've gotten a question that says, do Twitter and Instagram views get better reach / viewership than Facebook Live videos? Do you have any insights on that?
You know what? Again, it really depends on where your audience is, and I hate that answer. But it really is. It's true. It just kind of depends on what analytics you're looking at and who it is that you're looking to solve a problem for. So, like with a younger demographic, Instagram is the place to be. Like for this particular client that I use as an example, they want to target an area within our community that is Hispanic and that's younger, right? And so we went ahead and took a look at the numbers and saw, where that particular group was consuming their social media, and that's how we chose Instagram. Really, and it's testing too. I mean, you can be on Instagram and do maybe one story a day, and that might not get you tons of views, but you go ahead and the next day try maybe doing 6 pieces of the story and using the different elements. And it's really a matter of testing and what it is that your business is looking to accomplish.
That makes a lot of sense. I think that it's really important to know who your demographic is, know your audience, and really tailor the content that you're putting out there for what they want, what their behaviors are like, and what they're really expecting from a brand.
Absolutely.
So we have another question from YouTube from Serious Decisions, and they ask, we're a B2B company. What types of content would you recommend for live streams?
Yeah, so I mean, for B2Bs, I would figure out like who it is that your your avatar is, right? I mean, that's like marketing 101. And again, I mean, it's not one. I guess that's the thing. It's not generalized. You have to figure out what it is that they're looking for. So your Mack trucks, right? And you're trying to sell to companies who are purchasing up fleets of trucks. Then you might want to see what questions you can answer. Maybe do like an expert a Facebook Live or one of these live broadcasts that where you can answer those questions. Or and this is something that I've seen on Snapchat too. There's actually someone who is a mechanic, and he does like a mechanics 101 thing where he actually will not only explain why certain parts are being put into the car, but he'll actually visually take people through the process. And so really it just depends on the product that you're selling, and who your audience is.
Great. Yeah, I definitely agree. Additionally, I think another tip that might be fun for B2B companies is what's really popular for live videos is behind the scenes. So show your company culture, show the inner workings of the office. If you have a great office space or a great event that's happening, you might want to highlight that, show the things that you do very well. So we have for one last question, and this comes from Jennifer, and she asks, any tips for how a social team of one might maximize a live video service without sacrificing other content? She has but one phone.
Sorry, say that again. What was that?
No problem. Jennifer asks, do you have any tips for how a social team of one might maximize a live video service without sacrificing any other content? So I think the question really is, how does a social team of one really get to maximize all their efforts behind Facebook Live or Twitter Live videos while also putting out other content?
Yeah, so lately, I mean, let's take Facebook for instance. I mean, now it is kind of a pay-to-play channel. And so you might want to take a look at whether or not it makes sense to be putting out as much content as you are. And if not, you know, and you can incorporate the live broadcasting and kind of test it out. I mean, if live broadcasting, you know, 2 or 3 times a week is getting you more engagement and more conversion, let's say it's an e-commerce client, and is getting you more conversion to websites, then drop some of the other things that you're doing that might not be getting as much conversion or engagement. That's what I would say. Otherwise, you know, partner with, you know, someone that you can subcontract in order to be able to go out and get that content for you. But that would be kind of the second thing, because I know like when you're just a one social media marketer, if that's not an option, the former is what I would recommend. Just take a look at what content is bringing you actual results and focus more on that and less on the other stuff.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Those are really great insights. I know it can be a little bit challenging sometimes when you're a team of one, and how do you manage all these new trends and new platforms and all the new patterns that you're seeing in your analytics. So it's also really important to take time and tweak your strategy and see, you know, do you need to jump on this newest trend? Is it useful and a great use of your time?
Absolutely.
So thank you, Sarah. Friends, it looks like our time has come to an end. Thank you so much for a great Sprout Sessions. It's been an amazing, fun-filled week. And again, thank you to Sarah for your time. So keep your eyes peeled. We're going to compile some of the major takeaways from this session and all the sessions and share it with all of you. Feel free to have the conversation, to continue the conversation on social media using the hashtag Sprout Sessions, or feel free to reach out to Sarah on Twitter. And from all of us at Sprout, have a great summer.